We'd like to thank you all so much for coming virtually, checking us out. This is Tyson Jackson Trio featuring Mr. Jesse Taitt on keyboards, Mr. Max Ridley on bass. But before I start, I just want to talk a little bit about this project and how it came to be. Please be on the lookout for it, entitled The Greatest of These EP, which will features these incredible musicians. And the reason behind this project being was just because in a lot of the successful people that I noticed in my life, they all kind of had, no matter what their faith, they were centered and grounded by their faith and what they believed in. And on the other side of that, I noticed that in many of the struggles that I was dealing with, whether it be faith or anxiety or security or a few of the other things that we all deal with in humanity, the thing that kind of anchors us all is this concept of love. And before I could really understand how to love other people, for me, I first had to understand God's love for me. And through that, I think this kind of fueled my life and how I live and how to be and how I maneuver and the decisions that I make and the way that I play music. So I hope you guys enjoyed this project, The Greatest of These. Tyson Jackson Trio.
At the center of your anxiety, if you really trace it, I'm not talking about a medical condition. I'm not a pharmacist. I don't know about all that. I am not a neurologist. I'm saying, spiritually speaking, at the center of your anxiety is your pride. The reason that you're so anxious is because you've got you at the center. And you can't sustain it because it's not your throne. I mean, even listen to your language. The Lord said, I don't know if I have what it takes. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can make it. If I.
So that last composition was entitled Anxiety. And the next one we'll play for you actually is something else that I think is a very common thing that we all kind of face and deal with. Within anxiety, I think you face issues with security, especially with me being an African-American man in America. I feel that the story of Mr. Ahmaud Arbery was one that really resonated with me. And this particular song that we're about to play was originally called Unarmed Arbery. If you guys don't know the story of Mr. Ahmaud Arbery, he was a young gentleman who was jogging one day in his neighborhood in Georgia, and then two gentlemen, Caucasian gentlemen, took it upon themselves. They felt threatened because of some robberies and things like that that had been happening in the neighborhood, and they took his life. After calling police and them telling them not to engage, and they took it upon themselves to take matters into their own hands. And so I think that this is something that is very relevant and something that continues to happen. We talk about racial inequality and injustice. And so the name of this song is entitled Security. Enjoy.
1994
Oh wow.
on Mother's Day. Yeah, and Ahmad was the baby. He has an older sister and an older brother, but Ahmad was his brother and sister's keeper. He loved his family, and I know he loved his mama. He had the most humble spirit. He liked sports. He loved LeBron James. He loved LeBron. He loved Kobe. He loved football. Um, Within the last, I would say, since he's been an adult, I think you hear me say thank you all the time because those were his words.
Yeah.
If you did anything for Ahmad, it was always thank you.
He was just a gracious guy.
Yes, he was.
time they come to God is when they are in dire need and perilous circumstances, and then they look to him to get them out of the crisis, but they have not built the infrastructure of relationship up under their faith. They are just using God because they're in trouble. People invest in things they can trust. Oh, you got to understand this. You got to understand this. I'm headed somewhere because some of you are trying to get God to do things for you. You're trying to get a God to move for you that you don't speak to, you don't talk to, you don't worship, you don't serve, you don't live for him, you don't seek him. And then in the time of trouble, you show up talking about, do something for me. And if he doesn't do it, you got the nerve to have an attitude. But miracles begin with relationship.
Once again, I'd like to thank you all so much for tuning in and checking us out. That last composition was entitled Faith, featuring a great preacher speaker, Bishop T.D. Jakes. Once again, a round of applause virtually wherever you are for Mr. Jesse Taitt on the piano, Mr. Max Ridley on bass, Mr. Mark Redmond, who's been so essential in putting this all together, Mr. Rafi on the camera, and Colin back there in the booth. Thank you all so much. And once again, just to remind you guys before we continue on with our set, in spite of your difference and in spite of the things that make you different absolutely make you who you are, but never forget to consider your neighbor, and consider your actions, and consider your words, and consider how it makes the people around you feel. The one thing that's going to truly bring about change, invoke change in the world, is truly us loving on one another and appreciating one another. So be anchored and be centered by love. In spite of your insecurities, in spite of your imperfections, in spite of the lack of faith, or maybe dealing with anxiety, maybe dealing with security, be anchored by love. Love you guys. Thank you so much for checking us out, and see you soon.
Love showed up in the courthouse. Love showed up when you were scared. Love showed up when you was crying. Is there anybody who can say, had it not been for his love, I wouldn't be here right now? Is there anybody in the house who can join me and say, God, thank you for your love. God, thank you for your love. God, thank you for your love. That's what's happening right here.
So this next tune is an original composition by Mr. Max Ridley entitled Yellow.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, please, God, forgive my sin. Oh, I know it cheapens the request to be asking it again and again. I toss and I turn, I crash and I burn. I can't get no sleep. When will I learn that? I'm at war with my own mind. Oh, there's a battlefield in there. Oh, you just can't see it 'cause it's covered by bone and skin and hair. The explosions go off and I think I'm so tough, reduced to a puddle of weepy stuff. Really hard to tell who's winning, oh, or if that's even really the point. Oh, if there's a point to even having a point. Gonna fake it till I make it, and I'm standing here raw and naked. I refuse to let personal demons keep running the show. God, forgive my sins. Oh, I know it cheapens the request to be asking it again and again.
Thank you all so much for watching. Tyson Jackson Trio, Mr. Jesse Taitt on piano, Mr. Max Ridley on bass, Mr. Mark. Thank you so much for having us. See you guys soon. Have a good night.